Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, the third Bara, where we try to add value in your investment journey. And in this channel, you will get a front seat view of my stock portfolio and you will see how I digest the latest financial information and how I use it to either buy or sell stocks in my stock portfolio. So, if you saw my last video, you would notice that my stock portfolio increased today. Now it's at $494,991. So I know yesterday some people probably had a little laugh because my stock portfolio value went down. But as you saw the theme in the thumbnail, the haters gonna hate. As I told you in my first upload on this channel, expect your stock portfolio to increase, decrease, increase, and decrease. That's just how it is. You have to be able to stomach the increases and the decreases because those short term movements aren't what you should be paying attention to. You should be focusing on buying quality companies and focusing on the long term. So, as you can see, my capital gains is still in the negative region, but it's a lesser number. And of course, my expected dividend this year is 27,749. I'm still playing around with the format of my posts, so I decided to start directly with my stock portfolio because I know some people just click on the thumbnail just to see where my uh, where my stock portfolio is. So no issue with that. So I took some time to develop the name of my channel, which is the third Bara. And for all those who do not know, who are not Trinidadians, a bara is a piece of fried dough that is used with our famous street food called doubles. So traditionally, doubles come with two bara. That's why it's called doubles, right? It comes with two bara. But if you're lucky, and the vendor might add a third bara, which symbolizes like a bonus or extra value. So for my YouTube channel, the third bara symbolizes extra value to you as my viewer and my subscribers. It symbolizes bonus insights, and I hope to go beyond your expectations in your financial and wealth building journey. So that's my intent. So while I was going through these online streets, I must say I was compelled to comment. What's this ad? I was compelled to comment on this article I saw in the Daily Express. I mean, Beanie Man. Beanie Man is a well liked reggae dancehall artist in Trinidad, and out of nowhere he decided to wake up and choose violence. Now, mind you, it is okay to say that you don't like doubles. Not everyone does, but it is a popular, probably the de facto national dish in Trinidad because every day people eat doubles from early in the morning before they go to work. So it's okay for you to say you don't eat doubles or you don't like doubles. I mean, everyone is human. You like what you don't like. But to go on to say that he does not eat it because stray dogs do not eat it. Now, man, you are now trying to cast certain subtle hits at people who eat doubles. And you come to Trinidad when you through your concerts, you people buy your albums, people play your songs. You are actually attacking your fan base, your Trinidad-based fan base. I don't know where this came from, Beanie Man. It was unnecessary, and it's gonna affect your bag. And on this channel, we try to not to do things to negatively affect your bag. So, Beanie Man, I hope you sort out yourself and you decide to apologize. So, moving on from Beanie Man outrageous attack, I was browsing through the Reddit post, and to my surprise, there were a number of posts focused on the Trinidad stock market. Some people were interested in how do you go about investing. Some people were giving their experience as investing, and some people were giving their opinions on the overall stock market. So it's interesting because I saw this post, and this post is 9 months ago. I think this was not, it wasn't the most recent post on Reddit concerning investing in Trinidad, but it's recent enough. It's within a year. So let's have a look at what this person has to say. And this person is saying that they're interested in making an investment and they're wondering, are there any investors out there? So this is one of the reasons I have my channel. I want my channel to bring these Trinidad stock market investors in the comments. You look at my portfolio, give your opinions, and we can have a discussion, an informed discussion. But let's go with what's on Reddit. So they seem to be interested in investing in the Trinidad stock market, and they're asking other commenters, what's your experience investing both locally and abroad? And they were saying, was it possible to make a profit? And what is the turnaround time? What is the payout options and broker fees? So immediately, I know this person seems to be one of those short-term traders and not really a long-term investor, just by the way they phrase this question. But let's get into it, because the response, the main response that I saw underneath, was very interesting. And that came from this individual here. And it had like 19 upticks. So that means a lot of people read his comment and agreed with what he had to say. That's interesting. So let's get into it. The person claims that as someone who has made money and lost money, he can safely say investing in Trinidad and Tobago equities is pretty useless. That first statement, wow, that really hit home. Because as you all just saw a couple of minutes ago, I literally have almost $500,000 TT dollars on the Trinidad stock market. And now this guy is saying, and he's claiming to have vast experience of making money and losing money. He's saying Trinidad equities are pretty useless. He goes on to say that these markets are pretty stagnant with virtually zero liquidity. What he means here is that he doesn't have the option of buying or selling securities because it's not liquid. Or he doesn't have the option of buying the amount he wants. Or perhaps he doesn't have the option of selling. Or if he has that option, it takes long for the transactions. I'm not sure what he meant, but either of those three things is probably what he meant. He goes on to say that he made money in IPOs, which admittedly was like printing money. Now, I don't understand. If he made money in IPOs, which are initial public offerings, so initial public offerings are when a new company goes onto the stock exchange, so their shares will be valued at a certain amount, and from there you have the first time owners of those shares who get in early. So let's say they're getting at a share price of 20 and it hits the stock market and there's a huge demand for those shares, the prices should go up. So those who were in early and who were able to buy those shares early at the IPO valuation, they are now able to sell it to the new investors and make a profit. That's one strategy you can use. But once again, that's more of a trading strategy where you buy shares, you hold it on a short-term basis with the hope that that share price rises, and when it does, you sell it and you make a profit. There is a big difference between trading and investing. Over here on this channel, we are on the investment side. We buy and hold quality companies for the long term. Trading, which it appears this individual is a trader, they buy and sell on a frequent basis with the hope of making a profit. So let's move on. So he also goes on to say that he made some money in NGL IPO and JMBB IPO, even FCB, which is First Citizens Bank IPO. But then he apparently he tried to hold NGL, which is down 500k at the moment. Wow, so he's down 500,000 because he didn't sell in a couple of years. So I don't know, maybe we can go and check. I can go dig into my portfolio and look at what he said. Actually, you know what? Let's go verify that statement because we all about truth on this channel. So let me go verify what he just said. Okay, so I went to using my platform, my Simply Wall Street platform, I went to the NGL stock. So this is it, Trinidad and Tobago NGL Limited. And this is the performance for the last 5 years, and let's go to the maximum. So let's see what my friend said here. Let's go back to what he said. He said that apparently he participated in the NGL IPO and he believed in, wow. So for some reason, he quote unquote believed in the NGL company, and now he's probably down 500k because he didn't sell it. So let me see if we can sift through that and unpack that. So the IPO probably was, well, this is the maximum time period, so I'm going to assume the IPO was at let's see, the 30, no, what's this, that's 20, let's say 20, 21.50. So let's say that was the IPO price and he believed it, so I assumed he held on to it even through down this dip in 2020 COVID, or I guess in COVID it was too late for anyone to do anything. It started to rise up again, but then in the recent past, within the last 2 years, between January 2023 and now, it has fell from 21, a peak of $21.82 to now is down to, wow, $4.61. So this was 9 months ago. So let's go back 9 months. So my boy is about here when he posted that at 10, and at 10, yeah, let's say it was around $10.50. And when he posted that, let's assume he had the IPO of 21. So he's on a very big, almost 50% down. And he probably bought a lot of shares too, so that means he spent 500k. That is interesting. So he's been bitter ever since, apparently, because that was his opening comment. So he goes on to say that every stock that is listed in TNT is quite mature. Not sure what he means by mature. We have some new companies, but as we saw, NGL is fairly recent, within the last, if we said they came out in 2016, that's fairly recent. 10 years is, I don't know if they call that mature. Some people think mature is 20 years or even 30 years. But let's go on. And he's saying it's overpriced. That is interesting. He is saying that it's overpriced. So, and hopefully in a future post I can get to how companies evaluate their share price and how analysts evaluate whether a share is undervalued or overvalued. There are different calculations that can be done and some assumptions made. The platform I use, Simply Wall Street, they do their own analysis. So, based on their own analysis, they're saying that, whoa, it's overvalued by almost more than 1,000%. So, they're valuing the NGL share price at a fair value of 42 cents, and currently it's trading at $4.72. So, different analysts will have different values for fair price, which will, of course, uh, suggest whether it's going to be overvalued or undervalued. So this is interesting. But he's saying all the stock, every stock is overpriced. And that's not the case. And I can give you an example. Massey right now, based on the calculations done by Simply Wall Street, is underpriced and it's a bargain for anyone who wants to invest. But let's move on with what my friend here is saying. He also states that right now the equities market is in a downturn. So that is true. If you look at the Trinidad index, and let me pull it up from the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange website. So we are on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange website, and this is a very useful website. And if you're an investor, you should be hitting this website every day. They have reports, they have summaries, they track the index, they give announcements. It's a very useful website, and honestly, I think they should be marketing this website more because it's very useful. So, going back to our discussion. So, what I'm showing here is the Trinidad Composite Index. What is the Trinidad Composite Index? The Trinidad and Tobago Composite Index is a key indicator of the overall performance of the Trinidad and Tobago stock market. So this will give you an idea of how all the stocks on the Trinidad and Tobago stock market collectively as a unit are performing. Right? So going back to my friend, what he's saying, the equities market is in a downturn locally, and the PE ratio, which is the price per earning, is still insane. So we'll get to that. Let me unpack this statement because he's saying a lot here. So, first of all, he's saying that the equities market is, let me just highlight it. He said right now the equity market is in a downturn locally. So, he is absolutely right. If I go, so you see that line is going from the top left all the way down to the bottom right. Generally, you're seeing the value of the composite index dropping. So he's correct. That means the overall evaluations of all the companies are dropping. This, if you look at this from a long-term investor's point of view, what we call this is a sale. And what's a sale? When you go to a store and you see branded products that are usually at 1,000, but now they say it's 20% off, 30% off. That's a sale. And you want to buy. So what we see this here, this part of the curve here, what he's describing as a downturn, as a long-term investor, that gives me an opportunity to get quality companies at a discount. And that's what we're looking for. But he's seeing that as something that's bad. But let's continue. He also goes on to say that the PE ratio, which is the price per earnings, is still insane. That's a good thing because now, because the price per earning is a ratio, and I don't want to get too technical right now, but when you have a low price and the earnings are high, that means you're getting a return, a very large return on your investment. So I'm not sure how and he lumped it all in one statement. On one hand, he's saying it's a downturn, and then he's saying the PE ratios are still insane, which is a good thing. He goes on to say that dividends are generally 3% or lower, so it's not even comparable to fixed term deposits. So, fixed term deposits are generally based on bonds, usually government bonds, which has a fixed value. It's usually uh, maybe 4%, maybe as high as 5% based on the economic climate. But 3% is actually a good value for fixed bond. But what he's saying there is that it's pointless that you're risking your money on the market when you can go for a more stable source, which is these fixed term deposits, and get a higher yield, meaning you're getting more money back into your account, which is interesting. So the next part, he then goes on to say that the short term horizon is meh, but the long term is good, with the exception of NGL. Nothing I have bought is less than 100% over a decade. So in the third paragraph, the real truth starts coming out. So I think this guy is just pissed that he went in the IPO for NGL. He put a lot of money down because he believed in the NGL stock, and it came back to bite him. Believing in a stock is not a proper basis for making an investment. You need to put your emotions at the side. You're looking at a stock, you need to have a system on how you evaluate that company, and based on that evaluation, it will then inform your decision whether you're going to buy or you're not going to buy. It's not based on emotions. I think that was his problem. But he admits that in the long term, with the exception of NGL, he he is up above 100%. That means he's making a return on investment. So, from a capital gains point of view, he's in the positive, the green, and he's also getting dividends for this decade. Every year, he's getting dividends, which he claims the dividend yield is less than 3%. He goes on to say that about he goes on to talk about the top platform, which they now putting in a mechanism where you can trade online. So that's how I do it. I shift funds from my bank account to the top platform, and when the funds hit the top platform, I can then buy stocks. So, in his last paragraph, he says that, let me just raise the screen a bit. Experience investing abroad with the limited USD, because you know Trinidad has a very big issue with gaining US dollars, and I have a solution for that as well. Man, I have so much information that I want to share with you guys. All of these things I'm saying can be individual posts on its own, but we'll get there. We'll get there. As that my first post said, the journey has now started, so we'll get there. So he's saying that he pretty much matched the SPY rate. The SPY is uh, a dividend index fund for high dividend shares, and he says he returned 10% per annum. All right, I think that is cap, but let's see. This is with dividend stocks, which admittedly pays better percentage wise than local, even after paying withholding tax. So, because of course, in the US, when you invest, your dividends are taxed, I think, at 30%. If it's not 30%, and you guys know in the comments, just let me know, but I believe it's 30%. So he's saying that even with that taxation, he's getting a better yield than in Trinidad stocks. I think the intent of his comment was basically to trash the Trinidad stock market, to sort of point to the US dollar stock market because it's quote unquote better and you get a higher rate of return. But the challenge for local investors is that you need access to US dollars, and we have very limited access to US dollars. So I'm telling you guys, why are you going through that stress? For local investors, for residents and Trinidad and Tobago citizens, the local stock market is all you need. You do not need to go fight the international wars of the US stock market because people do lose a lot of money in the US stock market. But I'll get there. So, he is saying that dividends generally make 3% or lower. What do you all guys think? You think that's a fair statement? I just showed you guys my stock portfolio. Let me get to there. Let me get to there. Because he's making some wild statements. So let me get to my dashboard. You are seeing it for yourself. What is my estimated yield? 5.6%. Not less than 3%. My yield is 5.6%. So I probably have some sort of secret wonderful method because right now, within a 9-month period, and I've been investing in the Trinidad stock market since 2019. Right now, I'm contradicting what he's saying. He's also saying that he matched the SPI rate of return of 10% per annum. That's very interesting. That is very interesting. So let me bring up the SPYD high dividend ETF and let's see what they're saying. They're saying that the current yield is 4.31%. So what they're saying is that for every dollar you invest in this fund, you will get a dividend yield of 4.3% back. And because it's on the US stock market, then you have to also factor in the tax that they'll take off, that 30% tax. They'll take off of that dividend, and then you get a lesser amount. So you won't get the 100% of this 4.3%. You're going to get 70% of that 4.3%. Maybe if I can do some quick calculations, I can tell you what's the net yield that you're going to get, which is 70% of this 4.3% is 3.017%. That's your net yield. So you're going to fight to get US dollars. You're going to fight to buy in this stock market, the US stock market, and you're only going to get back 3%. This is live figures. I'm not making up any of these figures. But you're ignoring and you're bashing and you're trashing the Trinidad stock market, where I'm clearly showing you guys I'm making 5.6%. And as I said in a previous post, the government of Trinidad and Tobago do not tax our dividends. So this full 5.6% yield is hitting my bank account. So make it make sense. Make it make sense. I realize it seems to be in style now to bash anything Trini or anything Trinidadian owned, but as a do-it-yourself, a DIY investor, you need to be able to pick apart the sense out of the nonsense. Even in his post, where he seems to be trying to paint a picture that the Trinidad stock market is bad, he admits that in the long term, which is what we are about, we are here for the long term. The long term, it is good. Even in the long term, yet he's advising that it's better abroad. This is the reason why I have my channel, and this is the reason why I want people to come in the comments and let's have a real discussion. Because I'm hitting you with real. This is my real Trinidad stock portfolio. I don't know what his portfolio looks like, but this is mine currently, as of today. So, please let me know what you think in the comments. Hit a like, subscribe, and hit the notifications for future videos on this channel. Thank you very much.